The dark side is always there, waiting for us to enter, waiting to enter us.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you would be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, my name is Patrick Murphy. I am part of the musical group The Oracle.
And how would you describe the music of the Oracle?
I would say it's definitely dark, sometimes ritualistic, electronic based, sort of like a journey through the senses.
Dark, ritualistic, electronic based. Would you compare it to any other bands?
I would say if you're into stuff like Sun, Tangerine Dream, Swans, the more atmospheric stuff from Nine Inch Nails. Those are some of the bigger influences, and I think we draw similar sounds to those bands.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of the project. When was it put together?
The idea came together in probably 2014, and then very early on in 2015 is when I actually started recording material, and then about a year later is when it sort of fleshed together to become what it is now.
Now, you mentioned collaborators. Is the Oracle a full band, or is it you with a few guest musicians?
So it's me, but when I started doing it, the first recording was different collaborators. The second recording I did was different collaborators. I released a few singles that were with the same collaborators on the first EP once I had it all. And then I released 2 ambient tracks that were just me. And then this new record I have coming out is really the work of myself, Zach Weeks, who produced the album, and a few people I collaborate with other bands too. So, Jesse Menard was a collaborator. He plays in the band Mountain Man with me. And then the other person who really helped form the sound, who's still working with me today, his name is Cosmo DiGiulio, and he's really helped kind of give me the sound that we have now. So I guess speaking in current terms, it's Cosmo and myself.
And would you say that the music has changed from the earliest releases to now?
Yeah, absolutely. The first cassette I put out, it was more of a noise album, I would say. Influenced by stuff like Merzbow, Throbbing Gristle, stuff like that. And then the EP I mentioned before, once I had it all, that started to go into where we are now. It was still a bit more noisy. A lot of it was improv, influenced by like the later Scott Walker records. And then, as I worked with those 2 collaborators a little bit more, it formed into it had more like actual like beats to it and some melodic qualities. And then I think with this latest release, it's sort of like an amalgam of all the eras of what I was trying to do with the Oracle. And this I feel like it's less noisy, more structured, and I guess more listenable.
Now, was there a particular impetus or reason why you went in this more structured, more melodic direction?
Honestly, it's because I figured out how to use the instruments I had a little bit better. When I first started playing live, even I just had some guitar effects pedals running and a tape deck running. And then as I got more involved in synthesis, I acquired a lot of analog synths. I started getting into Eurorack synths. So I think it was just each release was me sort of figuring out the instrument a little more. Because, if anybody knows me as a musician, I'm a drummer. I've been playing drums in bands for almost 20 years at this point. And then I got into guitar effect pedals and synthesis within the last couple of years. So, like I said, it was just me kind of figuring it out and learning the instrument more.
So let's jump into the album. Is this considered your first album?
I would consider it my first proper album. I released a 2-song cassette when I first started doing the project. we released the EP I mentioned before, that was essentially 4 songs. I think, if I remember correctly, I honestly haven't listened to it in such a long time, but I think it was 4 songs broken into different movements. This I would say is my first proper full length.
Your upcoming album is called Hypogeum, and it's set to be released on August 14th. You talked a little bit about the differences between this album and your previous releases. Tell me a little bit about the writing and the concept behind the album.
So I had the concept of the album before I even set foot in the studio. That I got the idea. There's the Hypogeum in Malta, that it was discovered in the early 1900s, 1902, I believe. And, it was a 3,500-year-old structure that they found underground. And, it was like a temple where the people, held rituals. And there was this one room in particular called the Oracle Room, or the Oracle Chamber, depending on what source you look at. And within that room, the way that the acoustics were set up, everything rang at a certain frequency, 111 hertz. And in writing, that is called the holy frequency, or the divine frequency. So that frequency has been known to create out-of-body experiences. Some people believe that the people who built the Hypogeum were using the sound waves to move objects, move space and time. And that really, I feel like that echoed with what I've kind of been trying to do with this project since I started it, is to give people a spiritual release, out-of-body experiences, or, maybe even used for astral projection, or some kind of literal physical feeling from the music. And as soon as I heard about that, I was just sitting on that concept, and I was like, I need to make this an Oracle record in some way or another. So that's what the concept was built on. In terms of writing, I had skeletons of the songs that I had worked out on my own. And then when I got into the studio with Zach Weeks, who I mentioned earlier, he really helped me shape them into constructed songs, not just fragments of ideas that I had. And I would credit him to really helping the songs follow the melodic path, be a bit more structured, and also follow a theme musically. Because if you listen to the record closely, you'll hear a lot of repeated phrases and different patterns and stuff that happen all throughout the record. So he kind of helped me bring it all to life.
So not only is there an overarching theme to the album, but in terms of composition, there are recurring musical themes. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So you mentioned Zach Weeks. The album was recorded at God City. I think most people know God City through the Converge connection. God City is Kurt Ballew's studio. But tell me about working with Zach. He's not just a producer and an engineer. He's in a number of bands from the New England area.
Yeah, so I've known Zach for a really long time. We're both part of like the Massachusetts hardcore scene. We run in the same circle of friends, and we've both played in numerous bands that have shared the stage before. And I did a session with him with a friend of mine a few years before, and I really liked working with him. Like I said, I knew him through playing shows and stuff, but I didn't really know him on like a deeply personal level, the way that I consider him a friend now. So after working with him at a different studio on another session that I played drums on, I really liked his work ethic. I liked his input. He's an incredibly talented musician, so he has a lot of really good ideas that I don't think the record would exist the way it does without his help. him working at God City also kind of made it easier for me. I've known Kurt Ballou for a few years too, and through knowing the two of them, it was kind of easy to get into that studio and make it happen.
Would it be fair to say that instead of just an engineer role or just recording the album, Zach was a collaborator himself?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time it was just the two of us in the studio shooting ideas back and forth, and it was great. That was really the first time that I had worked in a setting like that where we weren't really influenced by any outside people. If we liked an idea, we would keep it. If we didn't like it, we would vocalize it. And like I said earlier, the album wouldn't exist in the way it does without Zach's help.
How long did it take for this album to come together?
So the first, we broke it into two sessions. The first session, I think, so our plan was to be able to pump out a song a day, and that kind of worked. So the first session was, I think, about 6 days in a row, and then for a while I was just sitting on the record trying to figure out what to do with it. And then my friend Cosmo, who I mentioned earlier, he had just moved back to New England from New York. He and I had played in bands together. He's one of my best friends, and by the time he came back, I had a new vision of what I wanted to do with the record. So I think we spent another probably 3 or 4 days back at the studio with Zach, and really, we took a listen to the sessions we had done, thought about things we wanted to change, and then had Cosmo's input too, which was very valuable. So I mean, I guess altogether it was 2 weeks, but it was a few months between recording sessions. So it was kind of cool to do it that way too, because like I said, I could kind of sit on the songs a little bit and see exactly what I wanted to do with them.
And most of the recording was done in the middle of last year, right?
Yeah. It was. We did it March of 2019, and then we finished it up in November of 2019.
So in addition to the audio release of the album, there are a number of videos corresponding to songs on the album. Tell me a little bit about this video series and how it came together and who you worked with to create them.
So that came from Nathan Fisk. He's the person who directed them and really came up with the idea of doing a video for me. He's another person I've known locally in Worcester, Massachusetts here for a really long time. You know, he's played in numerous bands. I know his brother, I know his wife. So it was just kind of like a mutual friendship. One day he reached out to me and he was saying he wanted to get into filming music videos for bands. He does film editing for his day job, and he wanted some sort of creative outlet. And the more and more I talked to him, the more it made sense to just do a short film for all the songs, because it would be tough to get the ideas that we wanted in, you know, a 5-minute video or whatever. So it was, you know, it's a super daunting task to ask someone to film 30 plus minutes of footage for a short film when he was expecting to just do a music video. But it was just a great experience. You know, before we even started filming, we sort of, me, him, and Cosmo met up at Nate's house, and we sort of drew out an idea of what we wanted and how we could make it possible. And I mean, the pieces just kind of fell together. Nate's super creative and he's really, really good at what he does. So, you know, we came up with the ideas and then I just sort of let him direct me in what he was seeing. When we first met up and started talking about making it a short film, you know, I showed him a handful of films that I really enjoyed and that I thought the style of filmmaking would cater well to what we were doing. And I'm very happy and I was really impressed when I saw first drafts of what we were working on. So,
is there a linear narrative to the videos?
Yes, yeah. Without giving too much away, but we purposely released them out of order from the way they were, the way that they're going to be on the album, because we sort of wanted people to be confused and kind of form their own narrative on what was going on. But when we do eventually, when the last music video is released, we'll be releasing the short film as a whole too, so you can watch them in order, you know, unlike the way that we've been releasing them.
And you yourself appear in the videos, right? You're the main performer.
Yep. Yeah. It's just me.
Can you tell me about the outfit and the makeup that you wear?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's just, it's influenced by, you know, the early Norwegian black metal bands. And that was a big inspiration for this project too. And when we do perform live, I do wear the robe and corpse paint, and it's just an extension of how I feel the music should be viewed, or how I view the music, and it's just to pay homage to some of the artists that have influenced me along the way.
So as we're recording this, 5 of the 6 videos have been released. When is the 6th video coming out?
I believe it's coming out the week that the album comes out. I don't have the dates in front of me, but we didn't want it to come out too soon before, but we also didn't want it to come out after the album was out. We sort of wanted everyone to digest both the songs and the videos at once.
So sometime in the middle of August, basically.
Yeah. The album's out August 14th, so yeah, it'll be out within that week, I think.
Whether or not I followed the narrative of the videos, I think the idea of doing a video album, or, you know, videos for the whole album is an interesting idea, just because, you know, listening to music used to be an immersive experience where you can probably tell my age from the way I'm about to to rant about, kids today or whatever. But it used to be an immersive experience where you'd buy an album and you'd open it up and there'd be all this artwork and there'd be lyrics and you'd be following along. It was an event in and of itself. And as things progressed into the digital age, the packaging got smaller and smaller, and finally it was just an MP3 release that would end up on your device, and the music just kind of became background to whatever you were doing during the day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like artists have so many, outside of budget, which is always going to be a problem, but artists have so many opportunities to create something that is something more than just an MP3 album. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. There are all these tools at their disposal, and not many of them are using them. And so I think having this kind of video plus audio album release is a step in the right direction, and hopefully something that other people will embrace, as opposed to just getting stuff off Spotify or whatever.
Right. No, I agree completely. I mean, I'm guessing you and I are probably around the same age, so I can relate to that. Hearing that this band you like is releasing an album, and then having to wait, weeks, sometimes months, to go pick it up, and then after you pick it up from the record store, you go home and just immerse yourself in the layout, the lyrics, the music, just without any distraction. And I've watched the internet sort of ruin that experience, and I feel bad for people who are just really discovering music. When I was probably like 12 or 13 is really when I was discovering like underground music, and I feel bad for people who don't have that experience. Anyone can go on the internet and find a new band, which is also great, but it doesn't carry the same weight as sitting in your room, opening the shrink wrap, and hearing a song for the first time on a physical thing, be it vinyl, CD, cassette, whatever. And yeah, no, I mean, I hope other bands continue to do things that make you feel that way, be it what we're doing with a short film or DVDs or live streams or whatever. There needs to be something to create that feeling for people again. That's how I feel, at least.
So the videos were released by a number of different metal blogs, but they can all be found on the Repose Records YouTube page, right?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about Repose and how they got involved with this release.
I guess it's pretty easy. My friend, who I met through the Oracle, he lives in LA now, but he was actually a fan of some bands I was in before the Oracle, because he lived in Massachusetts. His name's Sean. He plays in the band Moon and Azure Shadow. And he and I connected recently, and he sent me his album, and I was like, this is incredible. He's doing like a real symphonic black metal kind of thing that he does 100% on his own. And a few weeks after he sent me the album, I saw that Repose was putting out vinyl form, and I'd never heard of them before. And then I checked them out, and I was really into all the stuff that he was releasing. So I added him. It was just on Instagram, and I was planning on hitting up Sean from Moon and Azure Shadow and asking for a way to reach out to him just to introduce myself. And then Tom, who runs Repose, shot me a message and was like, "Hey, I'm really into what the Oracle's doing. Do you have any plans for a future release or anything?" And like I was telling you before, I was sitting on this record for a while, and I sent it to him and sort of gave him, the long and short of the concept and all these ideas I had. And he was basically just like, okay, I'll do this for you, and that it was as easy as that. And he's just been on board with everything that I've thrown at him, and I can't thank him enough. And this has been one of the easiest late interactions I've ever had. So yeah, it was just sort of, it just happened very quickly.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the Simmer documentary?
Oh, sure, yeah. Zach actually got me in touch with them as well. So he had posted something on Instagram that a former colleague of his was working on this documentary about women in the culinary arts, and the abuse they face from men, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, things like that. And a few people in my life have that I'm close to have experienced that. And as I read about the documentary, I was really interested in it. And film scoring is something that I hope to further my career in. And when I saw Zach posted that, I was like, hey, can you get me in touch with them? So I reached out and asked if they had anyone to score the series. And Marie, the girl who is doing the documentary, she told me she didn't even think to do that. So I offered my services, and I sent her a demo of something that I thought fit. I asked her what she was looking for a soundtrack, and I sent her something that I thought fit. I worked on that with Cosmo DiGiulio as well. And yeah, I sent it to her, and she loved it, and we used it in the trailer. And the hopes is that the series gets picked up, and I'll be able to add music to more episodes. But just for now, it's just I just did the music for a trailer. We're sort of waiting to see the next steps and if anything actually comes of it.
So is Simmer basically at the pilot stage?
Yeah. I know the episodes are shot. I think she's just shopping it around right now to see if anyone is interested.
And people can check out short snippets of the documentary on YouTube, right?
Yeah, if you just look, if you go to simmerdoc.com, you can actually see all the videos that are on YouTube as well. The trailer, I believe, the last few months they've been releasing some interviews from it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Hypogeum is set to be released on August 14th. Tell people how they can order this.
So you can either go to reposerecords.com, or you can go to the Oracle's Bandcamp. It has all the same links there. It's the oraclema.bandcamp.com. You can pre-order there, check out the songs and videos that we've released so far. You can pre-order the vinyl, or you can just digitally pre-order it.
Now, if people order the digital version, do they get the videos? Or are the videos just going to be online?
The videos are just going to be online. Like I said, we're compiling. Well, we already did it. We already put all the videos into one long movie that it's going to be on the Repost Record YouTube page.
Cool. And if people want to follow the Oracle, how can they do that?
We have an Instagram. It's the_mass_of_the_oracle. Or you can just find us on Facebook. Just search the Oracle. I don't even remember what the hyperlink is for the Facebook, to be completely honest with you.
No worries. The links will be on the website. Is there anything else you want to say?
Thank you for wanting to sit down and talk with me about this. This is it's been a cool opportunity to talk to someone so removed from where I am right now, and I appreciate that you wanted to, and hopefully other people will want to check out the record and hopefully enjoy it and want to talk about it with me or talk about it amongst themselves, or anything like that.
Until next time, try to enjoy the daylight.